This week, what was new and what definitely wasn't from the Hershey RV Show in Hershey, Pennsylvania, plus why Florida doesn't want another national park, and a whole lot more. This is RV Miles. Chances are you've seen them on the road. That's because Blue Ox designs and manufactures the best towing products in the industry. Just look around. You'll find them on highways and campgrounds and anywhere you find people traveling in the great outdoors. From award-winning tow bars and base plates to a full line of weight distribution hitches, adjustable ball mounts, and now they have fifth wheel hitches too. With Blue Ox, towing doesn't have to be a drag. Visit blueox.com for more information. More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by eTrailer. Ever feel like finding the right RV part is like searching for a needle in a haystack? Enter eTrailer.com. Whether you're puzzled about which product is right for you or how to install it, eTrailer has got you covered. Their US-based customer service is available by chat or phone 7 days a week, and with expert Q&As, helpful articles, and tons of reviews and install videos, you'll tackle any RV problem with confidence. eTrailer strives to get their hands on everything they sell, and their website is full of overviews, reviews, buying guides, and tutorials. And it's not just RV parts, it's towing and vehicle accessories, camping supplies, and more. Head to the link in the description and get free shipping on orders over $99. Welcome to episode number 378 of RV Miles. I'm Jason.
And I'm Abby, and we are two RVers who, along with our three boys, have been crisscrossing all over North America on one epic road trip since 2016. Here at RV Miles, we talk all things RV and outdoors, from industry news to travel destinations, Hershey RV shows, and so much more.
We have a big show for you today. I just returned from the quote-unquote America's largest RV show in Hershey, Pennsylvania, where there was some new stuff, but some glaring omissions, and a lot to talk about the current model year of RV products out there. And I'm really excited to get into that. But I just got back in town so I went without Abby to the show.
You did.
And it was a whole thing. I was going to fly from here and then come back, but then it ended up being a thing where it worked out that we could take the Sabre back up to the factory. They did a couple little upgrades for us based on the 2026 model year, a couple of fixes, things like that. And so what I decided to do was drive it to Elkhart, which is 4.5 hours from here minimum. That's usually without towing. Drop it off, and then drive to O'Hare in Chicago and fly to Hershey from there. Mm-hmm. And then I spent the days in Hershey, and then I fly back to O'Hare, drive back out to Elkhart, which is like 2.5 hours, and then drive all the way back home here. So it was a whole lot of driving. It was a lot of travel. The very last bit of it, I'm on my way back here it wasn't quite this far yet, but on my way back on I-80 here, I'm cruising down the road, and I'm jamming to some music. I was like, top of my lungs singing some James Taylor or something, and this truck camper pulls up beside us, and this woman's like, "Hi, Jason." So hi, you caught me. I was in a good mood. It was great.
You are living your best, probably country music life.
No.
From the 90s and early aughts.
No, I was listening to a lot of like 60s, 70s singer-songwriters on that trip. It's a lot of like James Taylor, Simon & Garfunkel, Joni Mitchell, that kind of stuff.
Jason's music playlist is always really different when he's in the car and not with all of us, which I love that for you. I love when you get to go on a road trip by yourself, because it's the same with me. My music is very different when I'm by myself. Like, there's just some genres or some bands that like we aren't all into. Like, I probably, when I'm on a drive by myself, I would say there's a lot of Cranberries that happens, like a lot of like late 90s kind of emo-y grunge into the 2000s. There's like Keen that happens, Death Cab, Jimmy Eat World. Those aren't really your jam so much. So, you're a big Jimmy Eat World fan. You like Jimmy Eat World.
Well, yeah.
Middle.
I mean,
but anyway,
but my music taste did not cross into this century.
No. Mine crossed. Mine
Maybe
still
slightly,
crosses.
slightly the early. They didn't. My musical taste did not leave college. I'll put it that way.
Mine did, but that's through the kids.
Yeah.
So I picked up on bands that I really like today. Obviously, I really enjoy Taylor Swift with Ethan. Jack has gotten me really into Glass Animals. I like them a lot. There's just, so through our children who are kind of the target audience. And of course, we spend a good chunk of our time listening to a lot of kid-focused music.
Sure.
Kids Place Live, KPL. What a time
90% of what I listen to, though, is basically what my parents would have listened to. So
yeah. So
there you go.
you got to jam out on the way home.
Yeah.
Bringing the Sabre back from Elkhart. We're actually going to talk about why we took the Sabre up to Elkhart in Detour this week. And Detour is the after the show podcast that we do for our mile marker members. So if you want to hear that conversation and then you want to hear all the other conversations that we've had over there, and we've had a lot of behind the scenes conversations over there on Detour, you can become a mile marker member. You can get a first month free just at rvmiles.com/mile markers. But before we get to the main topic of Hershey, I want to talk about a piece of news that's rather recent. You may have heard about this, and this is the proposal that Ocala National Forest in Florida should be turned into a national park. And I think they want to, tentatively, the name would be Florida Springs National Park.
I covered this on the National Park News Roundup from 2 weeks ago. This proposal had just sort of been announced just then. And it's not just the Ocala National Forest. It's parts of the Ocala National Forest, some state parks, some other public lands in sort of central Florida that legislators in Florida congressmen would like to turn it into a legitimate national park called Florida Springs National Park. And there's a lot of that makes sense about sort of the idea of that. But as anybody that studies the sort of creation of national parks knows, there is so much embroiled in the people that have that exist in those communities, the people that have real strong intentions about the quality of life in those areas and the quality of the environment, and you know, they have feelings about their public parks, their state parks, and all that. And there's been a lot of animosity and back and forth anytime a new national park is proposed.
Yeah, and this seems to be the case in Florida. So, and this is what caught my eye, is that there is a petition out there that was started on change.org just recently. So this was proposed by Congressman Randy Fine, and citizens of this particular area, especially near Ocala National Forest, are not having it. They're not interested in this at all. So there's a petition out there that was started by Bobby Jo Dameron. She's a forest area resident. And as of September 11th, 6,500 people in this area have signed this petition to keep the national forest from being turned into a national park. And one of the biggest reasons why people are really opposed to this is the fact that they're concerned about unsustainable tourism in the area. Just like what you were talking about the fact that a lot of times when you start building these national parks, they really are, you get that capital N and you get that capital P, not because you think that area should become a capital N, capital P, but because you know that people will come if it is a national park, if it's got that designation.
And it happens and it works. And that's why they want to do it. It's their, economic interests want that to happen. Now, that's not to say that these areas are not already over toured. The Florida Springs are very well known. They're, I remember swimming in Florida Springs when I was a kid, and it was a lot easier to do now than it is today. Now, a lot of the springs that you might have access to, you're going to have to get a reservation. It's going to cost you money, a decent amount of money to get to. And some of these areas are kind of all, it's a bit of a hodgepodge. So, I mean, the idea of a national park, of course, is supposed to be to better protect areas like this. And, there's certainly an element of maybe there's a way for that to happen. And one of the biggest comments that I saw in that news roundup I did on Parkography a couple weeks ago about the idea of this park, rejecting the idea of it, was the additional cost. If you're going to propose a new national park and the National Park Service budget isn't going to increase, well, that can be a problem. But these are pretty much all already government controlled lands, mostly federal government controlled lands, especially the Ocala National Forest. So they're already managing it in a way. Maybe there are efficiencies in reducing and organizing around a given area, but I think Florida has really felt the sting of development in and around state and national parks over the course of many, many years, dating back all the way to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas and the Florida Everglades, and there's a lot of hurt and mistrust of the government. We saw last year the issues with state parks and the state of Florida trying to shoehorn hotels and other sorts of development into state parks. So I think there's a lot of reasons that a lot of Floridians want the status quo to stay as it is.
Well, and I think this speaks to a larger conversation of how we have, or at least it does seem like some of our Congress people have gotten away from what a national park is why you give something the capital N, capital P designation, or it becomes a part of the National Park Service. I mean, this congressman cites one of the reasons for doing this as an economic boom that would result from increased tourism. That to me is not a reason to turn something into a national park.
Yeah.
A national park is about preserving and protecting. And this is a really common theme, like in the comments from people on this petition, is one person is saying, and I think that it speaks to what you were just talking about, where they say, like, I grew up hiking in the Ocala Forest with my dad and canoeing the runs with my mom. We are losing wild Florida at a devastating rate right now. It sickens me. I'm a fourth generation native Floridian. Please leave the Ocala National Forest alone. And people are really craving places where they can go that feel wild and disconnected. We're such a connected society to everything right now. You can't go anywhere. We keep it all in the palm of our hands. And so people are looking for those places where they live. They don't want to have to go all the way out to Montana or Wyoming. They don't want to have to go find wild places out in Colorado. You want to be able to find those places in your own backyard. Your own backyard is just as special. And we're losing those places at a rapid rate.
Yeah.
And
again, there is an argument for a national park status to better protect this area. It's just a question of,
but can they?
Will that be what happens?
Because that's another comment that's left on the petition. Again, these are 6,500 people just about Ocala National Forest, like just in this area, that are saying, no, we don't want this. And another comment is coming, putting any land or water in the hands of the feds right now is a recipe for disaster. Pay attention to what's going on across the nation. National parks are being defunded, destaffed, trashed, vandalized, and exploited for mining and timber.
And that's people not understanding the situation too, though, because this land is, for the most part,
it's
already
a national forest
in the hands of the feds.
Right.
This is not changing in a way. However,
but we both know that the way a national forest is run is really different than the way a national park is run.
That's very true, because national forests in particular are an entirely different agency of the federal government. The National Park Service is under the Department of the Interior, along with like Fish and Wildlife and Bureau of Land Management, whereas the National Forest Service is under the Department of Agriculture. So it's a totally different land management agency, and things are quite different. And I do think that is one area where actually, the National Park Service can tend to do a better job. It's not always the case, but there are definitely arguments on both sides here.
Yeah, and I think for me, the biggest concern is this is so brand new. Like, this was just proposed at the end of August. There's so much more that has to happen before. this can even become a national park. There's a lot of discussion that still has to be had and proposals put together.
Just the idea of Congress passing a bill, any bill,
right,
is fairly doubtful. Let's just be pretty honest about that.
We'll talk about this again maybe in like 10 years. But I think it really is the concern, and I agree with the community about the pressure of tourism and that is put on these areas when they get this designation. And a national forest is not visited the same way that a national park is. And so in some respects, those of us who like to do a lot of wild camping, off-grid camping, or want to get away, we love our national parks, but they're very busy. And that's where national forests come in.
Yeah, though it's not really possible in Florida, but yeah.
But at the same time, like if you think about, do you think like everyone's heading to Ocala National Forest in the same way that, they're heading? I mean, I would argue state parks in Florida might be a little bit busier than this national forest. I don't have numbers in front of me, so
people look at national forests as national forests. I think sometimes they don't even realize that's what they are. I think they might be saying, "Oh, I'm really excited to go to XYZ Spring." And that's sort of the idea behind it. And there are some really popular, as I mentioned before, springs. And I think you're right. Once you add that national park nomenclature, it sort of becomes a wider, bigger area. But sometimes that can also help with moving people around an area instead of keeping them in in those really special places. It's got to be planned, right? It's got to be organized, and some money's got to go into it.
I think there's a lot of really good that can come from it. For me, it just comes down to when we start turning things into national parks because we want the economic tourism boom, then we have lost everything that a national park stands for and what it is supposed to be about.
And that's been the major reason the last 5 or 6 national parks have
looking at you, Gateway,
to existence is because they could be, and they were already existing federal land, so it was easy to do, right? It's a lot harder to create a large project where you're bringing when you're transferring private lands to public and creating a national park to protect something that wasn't already protected. To just change the name of something is kind of just a lazy way to bump up tourism.
Yeah, and I think if you had asked me this question 9 years ago or suggested this 9 years ago, I would have been like, "Oh, that's great. Absolutely. Like make it a national park. Put them underneath the National Park Service. Put all these places together. Let's protect them." 9 years later, I'm like, "Please don't give that a national park status because I want to continue to go to this national monument or this national forest and not have it turned into what sometimes can feel like the theme parks of our outdoors."
Well, my feeling on this, I've said this before, that I think we need to demystify national parks. It's great that we hold these places up as palaces, but I also think if we turned every natural place that's called national monument into a national park as well, and we had 200 of them,
make it less special.
It would help in making it less of I'm going to go check off all 63 national parks. I'm only doing a national park road trip. It would help, I think, alleviate some of that problem.
Yeah. I mean, they're all really special places. And we just did a huge trip back in April where we went to 3 national parks, places that we absolutely love. And I'm glad that they're national parks. I'm glad that they're protected areas. I just don't want it to be used as a reason to start building, gateway towns in them and resorts and hotels all around them and turning them into,
The Airbnb problem has to be fixed too. That is a disastrous thing that would.
Yeah, we've seen it in Jackson. It's really ruined the community of Jackson Hole, the Airbnb Vrbo industry up there. It's been really, really rough. And that's part of the housing crisis problem in these areas where people can't live there and work in these places because they can't afford it. This is a whole conversation. We're getting way off topic. But these are the things that you will start to see happen potentially in areas like this when you get this kind of national park designation. And you do want to know, like, what do you mean by an economic tourism boom? What do you have planned for the gateways into this park? Like, what is that going to look like? And what is that going to do to the community that already lives there? So something to keep an eye on. It's not going to happen anytime soon. So we'll check back on this in 10 years.
More in a moment, but first, this episode is sponsored by the folks at RV Life. The RV lifestyle is about community, and the RV community is at the heart of RV Life. RV Life recently celebrated the 1 millionth trip planned with RV Life Trip Wizard, their excellent trip planning tool for RVers, featuring all the trusted reviews, pictures, and tips from their RV Life campground site. RV Life also features several blog sites and over 20 additional RVing forums to serve the community. All this experience and community feedback come together to help create a fantastic RV trip planner and mobile navigation tool collectively called RV Life Pro. RV Life has marked a milestone of over 3 billion miles traveled using RV Life Pro with a B, counting both the planned RV trips and ad hoc navigation with the included RV Safe mobile app. Take 25% off RV Life Pro at the link in the description for this episode. Harvest Host is a membership that allows RVers to take a rest from the road and enjoy unlimited overnight stays at over 5,000 unique locations in North America, like breweries, farms, attractions, wineries, and much more. Easily plan and book your next RV trip and enjoy over $1,500 in exclusive member benefits by joining Harvest Hosts. Get 15% off your first year of membership with the code MILES. That's MILES. Go to harvesthost.com to become a Harvest Host member today.
All right. So Hershey, America's largest RV show, you just got back not even 24 hours ago. You returned to the Mile Zero studio in the heart of RV Miles here in the Quad Cities. And I didn't go. I was kind of keeping up a little bit on what was happening. Really was getting, I'm going to give you my impression of this show as someone who just talked to you a little bit and saw what I was seeing kind of on social media. And then I would love to know if I was hitting on this at all in what you experienced. This felt like a really, really great place for influencers in the RV industry to go and hang out together. That in the sense that so Tampa's a good hang too, but because I wasn't seeing a ton of major announcements coming through in our inbox like we do during Tampa, I wasn't seeing a ton of social media coverage of anything that was kind of new or happening. There are a few things, but it was mostly just like, we're here, come hang out with us. We're doing meet and greets, come hang out with us. And then I know, you were off on a lot of dinners and stuff during this event. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean it in like, this is a really big RV show where we all get a chance to come hang out together and meet people in the community. Like, you got to see a lot of people that are part of the RV Miles community that, we don't get to see through the camera lens. So that was kind of my impression. Whereas I feel like Tampa is a lot of work for us because there's so much new coming through, or like the attempt to show some possibility of what the industry can do, some innovative stuff. It's not, from year to year that varies as to how innovative the industry is going to be.
And we certainly noticed in Tampa
last year
a reduction in some of that this year.
But we were still incredibly busy.
Yeah, there's a first of all,
am I way off on what on what social media presented this event to me as?
First of all, I don't think there were that many social media influencers there, so that was a big part of it. In terms of
even just the brands themselves,
the number of people that came to cover this event, not the same as Tampa, and I think that's pretty typical. This is my first time at the Hershey RV Show. In our time covering this industry, I have covered stuff coming out of the Hershey RV Show over the years. And the way it used to be was that this 2026 model year stuff would debut at Hershey, and it did. And then sort of mid-year and prototype stuff would often debut in Tampa. So the prototype stuff can kind of be the exciting stuff sometimes. And that usually doesn't happen at a place like Hershey, but it did somewhat in the past. My perception is not just my perception being here for the first time, also talking to a lot of industry people who have been coming to this show for a long time, is that there is a desire by most of the manufacturers and by the dealers who run this show to not bring too much that's wildly new. There's certainly some of that, but a lot of the stuff and I kind of got a hint of this at Open House last year with a conversation I had with somebody, is that there is a desire to not bring stuff to Hershey because if the other manufacturers see it, they will copy it. A lot of people say that R&D in the RV industry means rip off and duplicate. And it's true. Somebody comes out with a floor plan, maybe they've got 6 months with it before somebody else copies that floor plan in a different way, or even a whole model line. So there were striking examples here at this show of things that I had expected to be there. Other folks, big folks in the RV industry, expected to be there that weren't there. So for instance, the Keystone Walkabout, we covered this on one of the news episodes. It's their new trailer that has aluminum sides, and it has this really interesting atrium looking slide in it with skylights.
Yeah, you were asked about that because you went live. You're on Wednesday, I think, the first day, first public day of the show, and you went live and you were walking around for about an hour. And I do believe there were several asks.
Yeah.
If
not there.
That wasn't there.
Jayco has Jayco's coming out with a motorhome on an EV chassis. This is the first launch of this Harbinger Motors collaboration that Thor Industries has. Harbinger Motors makes these vans that Thor brands like Jayco are going to be able to use exclusively, but they're also going to be used for things like delivery vans and stuff like that. They look like a UPS truck, from the factory, the brown UPS truck. They look just like that. But they're, being upfitted into motorhomes by Thor Industries brand. So the first one that has launched, not for sale yet, and this is part of why it's not at the show, is Jayco's new motorhome on that platform. So it wasn't at the show. So part of the issue is that the dealers at the show, they want stuff that's going to sell. Mm-hmm. And if it's not for sale, well, you're just taking up space on the floor. And that's something that is for as big as this show is I just didn't feel like it had the expansive space as a place like Tampa to do some stuff like that.
Yeah, so it does sound like a little bit of what I was seeing across social media, and my impression of the show is accurate in the sense that it seemed like a really good time. The weather looked great. Everyone looked like they were having a lot of fun, but it looked just like a giant RV show that I would want to go to and hang out at, but looking at it through the lens of someone who covers this for the industry, covers the news for the industry, I can see why maybe a lot of people who do what we do don't go to this every year because it's...
Yeah, it's... The time of the year can be difficult for some people too. But a case in point, New Camp, a great brand, New Camp. I really like their stuff. There were a lot of people, customers were asking me on that live stream, is that the new Camp unit there, and people knew that New Camp was going to be launching something new. Well, at their booth, they just have giant signs that say something big is coming soon and a QR code. I still haven't scanned the QR code to see if it even shows you what it is, but they didn't, whatever it was, it wasn't there.
I can assume we will see all of this stuff in January.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, I noticed on the notes here, you wrote no Frank Lloyd Wright Airstream.
Yeah.
That wasn't there. So,
I think they sold that out, though. I think that's part of the reason why they were only making 100 of those.
They sold that out before the article was probably even published.
Yeah, by Tampa, they just, the idea is that these brands will be able to show this stuff at open house, get it on dealers' lots, stock the dealers' lots before they're able to be copied. And by the time the Tampa rolls around, it's too late.
Yeah.
for the model year at least. But there definitely was a lot of new
Was
stuff
there new? Okay.
debuting at the show. I was,
Awesome.
look, I was able to dig and I was able to find all the new stuff. Everybody has new floor plans, of course. And I just don't care too much about new floor plans unless they're really exciting. But
yeah, unless they have like the 37 RV miles designation on them.
we'll
then
get to
we
that
care.
in a moment too. But there were certainly a lot of floor plans. Newmar had two new lines, which was really interesting from a luxury motorhome manufacturer.
They're super
Their
C's.
size.
And they had class
They're
C's.
two C's. One is a Super C. Their Summit Air Super C looks just like you'd expect a Newmar to look inside. Looks like you're walking into Cinderella Castle Suite. And they have the new Freedom Air Class C, which is a much smaller Class C, sort of in line with a lot of the what people would call B plus camper vans. So kind of like a Class C or kind of like a Class B without the overhang, but beefed up a little bit bigger.
Yeah. And we should say we're not going to go through like the whole list because you're going to cover this on the next news video. So there are stories that Jason is going to cover. This is kind of more of just like, what were your thoughts? Right. This is an opportunity for you because you kind of try to keep unless you try to keep your opinion as much as possible out of, but I'm sure you'll have.
The opinion is for here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll have an opinion here. I just meant on the news video. So a lot of like what's new, you're going to hear over there. We're just going to talk a little bit about your experience.
Tiffin had their off-road stuff. So Tiffin really did debut something new. Their open trail, which looks a lot like the Winnebago Echo. However, in a much more luxury Tiffin version, their GH2 Class B, which we've talked about on the news, stuff like that. I thought it was really interesting to see some upgrades on things that weren't a new line. So for instance, Rockwood and Flagstaff, they're sister brands of this. They're the same thing with different stickers, right? The Rockwood Signature and Flagstaff Classic, they're the same line. They're sort of high-end fifth wheels from Rockwood and Flagstaff. They have now jumped into the 40-foot range. They've never made a 40-foot fifth wheel in the Signature and Classic range. So now they have some 40-foot floor plans.
Boy, that speaks to like what the majority of buyers want these days, doesn't it?
One thing that I thought was really cool that they're doing that I haven't seen anybody else do is they're doing spray foam on the front caps. They're not just going to be, the bat insulation. They're using actual spray foam insulation on their front caps. A lot of floor plans that, like I said, I don't really care too much about floor plans. One big thing that I did notice on floor plans that I have noticed a lot of this year is lots of fifth wheels with the bunk room in the front.
Oh, you don't say.
Which I and Abby have been beating down the doors of manufacturers every time we're at an RV show saying, put the bunk room up there. It makes so much sense to put it up there. Now, we didn't do that with our fifth wheel, but we thought about it. We tried. We
thought about it, but it was really, we've always advocated for that because of the larger family unit, right? And how that could all play out. So look, you're welcome. It only took 9 years to get this to be a little bit more of a majority. We know that there have been brands out there for years that have been doing this. But to have that be something that's common now, it's like, man, how long did it take for us to get, trash, like somewhere for our trash can?
I know.
That's fantastic. You're welcome.
There's a lot of side patios, which we expected to see this year. And I'm not going to take the credit for that. I think, Lippert created that side patio and it was exclusive to Sabre and Keystone for a while. And now other brands can have access to it. So Alliance has their new side patio unit using that same side patio that we have. They did a really great job. It looks nice. Theirs is an outdoor kitchen. Mm-hmm. So it's got like a grill out there that's like on a drawer that pulls out.
So theirs is much bigger than...
No, it's the same size.
It's the same one. Side patio.
It slides out just on the end. It just slides out from underneath, and you can push it back in and you can actually access that stuff from the inside as well if you need to.
I look forward to seeing that.
But theirs is not a 3-door sliding glass door like ours. It has just a single door, and their kitchen is in front of it, and they've got like an open window that you can hand stuff out, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Another new side patio unit is the Solitude 414 LJMJ, the Less Junk More Journey.
They finally
floor
got
plan.
that.
They got to debut that. Again, that was an issue at Tampa that was supposed to debut at Tampa, but it wasn't for sale.
No, they finally got them to agree to sell it, which was wild to me that you would make and have someone like Nate and Marissa design an RV, and then you wouldn't put it out for others who might want to also have that floor plan. So good for them.
Let me tell you, it's going to sell too.
Oh, for sure. 100%. It's gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. I really enjoyed walking. I had a hard time walking through it because I didn't get to see it on the media day, and they were just swamped because they were, seeing everybody there, but it looks great. And theirs is sort of like the toy hauler style side patio. So it's a very large side patio with an outdoor kitchen. If you like something like that, but don't need a family floor plan or want a toy hauler, Grand Design also has the Momentum 339M toy hauler, which is a very similar side patio sort of deal, which looked really, really nice. And
it's the season of the side patio.
It is. And of course, the Sabre 37 RV Miles was there with the 2026 updates. And there's some updates, not a ton, but some feedback that we've given them, and some of the updates that are in the whole Sabre line, a few new colors, and some interesting little things that we'll be talking about more, I'm sure, in the future. And then one new brand that I really wanted to shout out here that I thought was interesting to see was, it's not a new brand. RPod is a known brand, but RPod has come out with sort of an adventure style travel trailer, and it's called the Unmapped series. And these are, sort of in this line of off-road rugged trailers like Embers, like the Ibex and that sort of thing, but even a little bit smaller with more sort of outdoor living. So these all have like an outdoor fold down bar for you to sit at and eat outside. They're all like, I think they're between 26 and 29 feet, and they're fairly affordable. I thought they were really interesting and cute. And speaking of affordable, that's really the big takeaway I got from this show. Prices are definitely down, like not wildly down. Okay, prices are definitely down, but it's not just down. It's a refocus on trying to get the entry level customer who's not going to pay a ton, right? So, the high end stuff's still going to cost what the high end stuff costs. And there was a decent number of travel trailers, very, small travel trailers under the $10,000 mark. $9,999.
$9,999.99.
I think I saw 4, placed prominently right at the entrance of different dealer areas. $9,999, very basic entry level, small travel trailers, maybe 20 foot long, stick and tin style. But there is a desire from some of the people that I've talked to at the show to just sort of do what they can to get people out of tents. Really, that's what it comes down to, is get them out of tents, make them a customer for now and for the future for something bigger. Did
you feel like we have finally dropped the decontenting marketing line?
Well, it's interesting. Yeah.
Because I just thought that was such a marketing failure.
Yeah.
We liked what they were trying to do by getting rid of some of the unnecessary bells and whistles that they just throw on things to mark up the price.
But calling things like the Essentials version or the Bear version, there's definitely less of that.
It gave such an impression that you were getting a less than RV.
And who would want that? And other than as a way to sort of lead somebody to buy the more expensive one, I didn't really see the point of it.
But it sounds like we are refocusing the conversation to, let's get into a great entry level, affordable RV. Let's introduce you to this lifestyle in a way that financially works for you and still gives you something enjoyable.
And I think the idea too has been like, okay, those entry level models are going to be their own line. We're not going to call it like the Essentials of a certain line.
Yeah.
Some of that still exists out there. But so last thing that I saw at the show that I really want to talk about for a minute is sort of along those lines. And it's Winnebago towables. They're sort of new. It's not entry level.
No, I'm looking at the price right now. That is not an entry level price.
But I would look at Winnebago a little bit like you look at Apple. Apple computers can tend to be expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not because they're better or worse. They just don't sell the cheap stuff, right?
No,
and I think
so. The price is $46,760 for what you're about to talk about.
And Winnebago Towables has struggled for a long time to find really their space in this market. I mean, I'm not talking about Grand Design, which is a Winnebago subsidiary, but Winnebago Towables specifically have really struggled to figure out where they fit in the travel trailer market. They've got a handle on the motorhome stuff, but for a long time, figuring out the travel trailer market has been a challenge for them. This year, they've introduced the Thrive, the Winnebago Thrive. And for the price point, and again, I think the comparison to Apple computers is really kind of spot on, because for the price point, I think what you get is really, really great. And they, I think, know this because they had a lot of Thrives there. You would think a new brand, they would be like, we've got 3 or 4 of them. There were at least a dozen of the Winnebago Thrive. So this is a really light and airy feeling travel trailer, really sleek and modern, almost European looking inside. I loved the interiors. It's really bright and fresh without being cold. And just thoughtful, the way the beds are placed, the way the kitchens are laid out, and with things like pull-out pantries and like indoor-outdoor living crossover where you've got places to hand stuff outside, you got outdoor kitchen stuff like that at a fairly okay price tag for what they're putting out. Fiberglass trailer.
What's the length?
They're all over the place. They have a whole bunch of floor
Okay.
plans on this thing, but they're mostly mid-size travel trailers.
Okay.
They've got bunkhouses and they've got couples coaches and stuff. But I really thought the Winnebago Thrive was a real home run.
Was that like best of show for you? Do you think?
I think so. For if you have to be looking at money, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're not looking at money, you're going to be looking at the $1 million motor coaches. But for what you get for the price, I think these are the most modern looking travel trailers without feeling like futuristic modern that I've seen in a feeling of what a nice hotel room would look like if it was built today.
Okay.
And I thought they did just a fantastic job with the Winnebago Thrive.
I look forward to seeing that one in Tampa. Anything on the suppliers side? How was the supplier representation at this show? I know you went down and
suppliers and vendors is a huge thing at this show.
Okay.
Lots of them. Just as in Tampa, it's very confusing. The thing is, this is held at the Giant Center in Hershey, Pennsylvania, which is an indoor arena with sort of outdoor parking lots. So the outdoor parking lots is where all the RVs are and some of the vendors. So the vendors all sort of line a couple aisles. And then in the arena, you can go around the concourse in the arena, and there's a bunch of vendors in there. And then down on the main floor of the arena, you actually had to go in because you come in on the concourse level and then walk down all the steps.
Yeah, you were live when you were doing that, and there was concern that you might trip and fall down the stairs.
There was all sorts of people just sitting there in the seats because they're like, I need a break to get down there. They did have elevators, but
yeah,
the elevators were very busy, obviously. So
did it feel like because of that the suppliers were a little bit like kind of
it did.
An afterthought
it's like
to
they're
the
separate.
layout?
It's like they're two separate.
Yeah.
Now, there were a lot of people going through the supplier building eventually. There weren't really on the first day, but by the second day, they really were. And I do think the crowds were really – the show's not over as we're recording this. It's Friday. They've still got the weekend ahead of them as
Yeah.
we're recording this, but I did think the crowds looked pretty decent.
I was going to say, we haven't seen attendance records yet, but that was going to be my next question for you. So crowd level for the Wednesday and Thursday that you were there, which were the first 2 days of the show, seemed really good, which is a great
I think
sign.
it seemed great. The weather was beautiful, so that's always a part of it. People like to read the tea leaves through the crowd sizes at these two big RV shows, and I think so much of it comes down to what the weather's like. But the weather was good. I heard from several people that they really liked the way that they deal with the with moving people around. They have golf cart taxis for people that need them.
Oh, nice.
I thought it was confusing as all get out to take an Uber over there. Nobody knew where to have an Uber drop off or pick up, even though I was definitely not the only one doing that. Lots of people were, because parking at this place is a nightmare. It's huge and gigantic. But, overall, I understand why they're considering a new site for this show.
Yeah, they're building a new site, right?
Yeah,
they bought the land. That is not a consideration. They've bought the land. It's just a matter of like when they're going to break ground and start doing it. So I think that this seems just like a really good hang of a show. I think from a networking perspective, or just coming together and hanging out with the community, this seems like a really great show to do that, especially when you get such stunning weather.
And it's great for buyers. If you're a prospective buyer and you want to just truck through a whole bunch of floor plans,
absolutely,
this is a great place to do it. Again, it's not going to have this sort of brand new surprise things that we're looking for, that excite us, that we're interested in sharing, with you often. But if you're a buyer, if you're a serious buyer and you're looking to upgrade, or you're looking for your first RV, this type of experience is a way to get through just every brand out there and get an idea of what you like and what you don't, even if you don't buy at the show. But show pricing was pretty darn good.
Yeah, so RV Miles will be back, but we also want to make sure next time we go that we leave a little bit of time to explore the area as well, because there's plenty to do in and around Hershey. So go for the show, maybe stay for the theme park.
Yeah, I really wanted to go to the theme park. I really wanted to go to Gettysburg, and I didn't get to do either of those things.
Stay for the national park site. But yeah, we'll definitely be back. But I can see now, I think, from what we do for a living, a really clear difference between Hershey and Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a different audience too. I think the folks in Tampa, because so many people are camping on site, although that's changing. But it just being in Florida in the winter, where RVers are, there's so many high-end buyers, second time, third time, fourth time buyers in Florida. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. So the crowd is a little different. The type of stuff that's there is a little different. But,
well, you seemed like you were having a great time, and you saw a lot of our friends, and I definitely had a lot of FOMO while
everybody missed you. Everybody missed you.
That's very sweet. I missed everybody.
Certainly so many people from the RV Miles community that was great to see you as you came up and said hi. And it's always nice to put names to faces, because we see a lot of you in our Facebook groups on the internet and stuff. And you only see the tiny little profile pic.
Well, and it was really nice too for those of you that saw Jason, but also noticed that Jason was recording or working, that you didn't come up and interrupt him. And I don't mean that in a negative way, but that was really a lot of people.
I don't care.
A lot of people left the comment like, "Oh, I saw you recording and I didn't want to bother you."
A lot of people said they thought they might be interrupting me because I'm holding the I was holding the camera. It doesn't I wasn't necessarily recording.
Well, and that was kind of like one thing, is we knew that, you had these 2 days, and it was sort of like we really wanted to be able to say hi to everyone, and at the same time we were like, look, we've got to get like a ton of footage. And I just really appreciated people that acknowledged that and were respectful of the fact that, we were there to try and get a job done for them too, so that you could come home and you could share everything that you learned, not only with those that were there, may not have seen everything, but all of the people that didn't get to attend as well. So you guys were all rock stars that came up and said hi, or, just acknowledged that Jason was working too. That was super cool. So thank you to everyone in the RV Miles community. All right, it is time to check the level of our tanks, and that is sponsored by our friends over at Liquefied RV Toilet Treatment, the No BS toilet treatment. You can find them at liquefiedrv.com. Okay, Jay, What is in your black tank this week? And I can see it right there. And oh boy.
So going around the show and notice on the, you know how sometimes you go to an arena, you go to a big event, and they've got these sort of stickers that they stick to the cement that try to direct you somewhere. They might be an ad for something with a QR code on it. So there's these giant stickers on the ground, right on the sort of the main, I guess you'd call it the midway, the main route through the show, that say various things, but most of them say, big letters, don't let dealers steal your trade. And it has a QR code on it for you to scan and go to a website where you can get a value on your RV, so you can know what your RV is worth.
I'm sorry. Can I get you to repeat, please, who this sticker belonged to?
I haven't said it yet. That's
okay.
So the sticker was from.
Wait, let's give 5 seconds to just let the listener see if they can guess who this sticker might belong to. I'll give you a hint. In the past, they've flown giant banners around RV shows because they weren't going to come to the RV show. Yeah. So they flew their giant banner.
They were at this show.
This show.
So Good Sam is a subsidiary of Camping World. Camping World, the nation's largest RV dealership. Look, they get a bad rap.
Doesn't steal your trade. So we're aware. So we're clear. They don't steal your trade.
They get a bad rap for a lot of reasons, and some of it's undeserved. Some of it's very deserved. But they make it so easy when they do stuff like this. You put a sticker on the ground that is so smarmy, that is so disingenuous that you're going to put a sticker on the ground with a QR code acting like you're saving people from the dealers at this show.
I mean, check your own house.
And you're going to take them to a website that is going to tell them how much you're going to give them for the trade-in, you as a dealership chain. It's just mind-blowing. And people that know the name Good Sam are going to see right through it.
I'm a little disappointed that the Hershey show allowed these stickers to be on the ground, because obviously there are other dealers there, and these shows don't exist without dealers. So when you allow one dealer to just so blatantly plaster their advertising around your venue, that is just knocking others there that paid money to be at this event, it's not a good look, doesn't really sit well with me. And on top of the fact that it's just Camping World, and there's so much evidence of, there's so much evidence out there when it comes to trading in your RV with them.
One thing that is really eye-opening going to these shows is when you go to the media day, as we do, right? The media day is also, it's the day that we can, as media, go around and see the units without the crowds. It's the day before the show opens. And it's also the day that they're just finishing setting everything up. It's the day that all the dealers arrive. And something you might not know about RV shows is a lot of the dealer representatives at the RV show do not work for that dealership chain normally. Mm-hmm. They're what's called show dogs. They're just, these are pro sellers that hop around from RV show to RV show. They are the best of the best that are there to
show dogs
to really extract every dollar they can and make every sale they can. And you'll sometimes hear some of the factory reps and stuff and the dealership reps sort of giving them the spiel about specific units and talking to them about like just some BS stuff about why X unit is better than Y unit. And it's just really eye-opening to hear some of the things that we know that they're going to have a plan for how to sell these units, but you kind of forget that when you get into it.
You wish that they would have a little bit more of I don't want to say honest plan, but a more realistic talking points about their brand, so that they're actually selling what the customer is buying. And then I think that would probably take some of the narrative on the back end that customers have after they've bought these, where they feel like they were sold a false bill of goods or something that was more luxury than what it is, or
in general, you're gonna get the best information when you go to one of these shows when you talk to a factory rep and not the dealers themselves. The factory reps, when they show up to these shows, are believe it or not, I think more honest and straightforward in general.
That sticker, I can't get over that. I mean, they've had some interesting marketing plans over the years that are really designed to just be clickbaity and inflammatory. This is digging, is really getting under my skin.
Like when Marcus Lemonis, so Marcus Lemonis is the CEO of Camping World. So a few days ago, he's also the CEO of Bed Bath & Beyond.
Such a successful company.
A few days ago, he puts a press release out saying, and this wasn't even just like a tweet or something, it was a press release saying that he's not going to open any stores in California because the business environment is so difficult there. And, you could say what you want about California's business environment, sure.
But let's all just pretend he said it about a different state. Okay.
Bed Bath & Beyond has 0 physical stores anywhere. This was just an attempt for him to like gain some PR for Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah,
that's what he does. It's what the guy does.
That's what he does. That's what these stickers do. It's got us talking about him, right?
It's a business. More power to him, I guess.
I keep saying we shouldn't be talking about them, yet here we are. They're going to keep their name off my lips. All right, what is in your fresh tank this week?
So one of the cool things that I did see from some of the some of the vendors at the show, there were some interesting things, and I've got a video up on the YouTube channel from that's covering some of the stuff that I saw at the vendors, sort of a kind of a virtual vendor show. I'm going to call it, I guess. I walked around and I got a little quick 30-second spiel from a lot of people.
I like that we did that. This is the first year that we've ever dedicated a video to the vendors at this show. And this is something I've really wanted us to do for a while now, because I feel like these suppliers and vendors, they don't kind of get enough love at these shows. And they really do bring what you're about to talk about. A lot of times they bring new product, innovative product, and we should be giving a little bit more time to them.
And
so I'm glad we did that this year.
It's why a lot of RVers go to these shows. A lot of RVers are not looking to buy a new RV.
No, they need their gutters cleaned.
They're looking for that. So Moride is a big supplier to the RV industry, and they make suspensions and all sorts of stuff. They have a new product that I got an overview of that is a residential flush system for any RV. And what this does is it allows you to hook up a trailer or a motorhome to the sewer system at a campsite and bypass the black tank, allowing you to use their toilet that can operate in a residential flush mode. So it acts a lot more like a regular household toilet when you're on full hookups, because it bypasses the black tank.
Finger flush?
Yeah,
or step flush?
I think it's still I think it's a button.
So it is a finger flush.
I think this was a prototype sort of thing. So it was a display thing, I guess. So I don't know really what the final product looks like in your rig. But what it allows you to do is you have a big wrench that you basically flip a switch on that diverts the sewage that would go to your black tank over just straight to the sewer line. Because if you use everybody knows you shouldn't have your black tank open when you're hooked up at a campground, because stuff will just pile up in there without all the liquid. So you have to essentially go flush you have to go empty the tanks every now and then. But this sort of avoids you doing that, because when you get to that full hookup campground, you just go switch this giant switch over and it diverts all the waste away from your black tank. And then when you want to go back, you switch it back and you can use it both ways.
I would assume that you still want to keep a little bit of water in that black tank.
Yeah,
while you're not using it, especially when it's quite warm.
Although this, there's probably people that never want to use their black tank. They're just buying their RV to be set up at a full hookup campsite.
True.
but they don't want to convert the whole system. So in the future, it's harder to sell their RV.
That could be great on like a destination trailer.
Yeah,
great option.
I think it's a really smart way to do this. And what they've done, because when you have your sewer line open like that, you want to avoid the sewer gases coming up and stuff. They've also built a sewer support that has sort of a built-in dip in it. That is, they said the dip in it for your sewer hose is actually to plumbing standards, to building code, plumbing standards to help keep sort of the gases from coming up. And that's something that you could use whether or not that you use this sort of flush diversion system. But I just thought this was really interesting, and you don't often see innovations when it comes to sewer.
Yeah. Go over to the RV Miles YouTube channel when you're done watching this, and you can see not only that, but then all of the other suppliers and vendors that gave us a little spiel of what they had there.
All right, what's in your black tank this week?
So my black tank's actually a gray tank, and it's not even really a gray tank, but it's a funny story, and it pertains to black tanks. So I just decided to drop it here. So we've got homecoming coming up. I know you guys are probably all tired of hearing about homecoming, but it's almost here. Like, it's happening in about a week and a half, and I know. We're super excited about it. We've got the biggest number of attendance we've ever had at this event, and any event we've ever hosted. We have the largest number of giveaways we're ever doing, and we have had nonstop things being delivered to the house. And tickets are actually going to still be on sale only until this Wednesday, the 17th. So if you have last minute change of plans and you want to come join us, you can still get tickets up until September 17th. rvmiles.com/homecoming. But that's not why I'm telling the story. So we have been having a ton of the giveaway stuff coming to the house. So every day there's just been packages, and our garage is filled with things. So the other day I leave and I notice that our next door neighbors, they have a bunch of packages piled up in front of their garage as well. I don't think anything about it. I go off, I run my errand, I come home, and all of those packages have been moved to my garage. So clearly FedEx had delivered it to the wrong house. And then our very sweet neighbors, who are so nice, moved it all over. So I go to take it all to the garage, and it's all liquefied. So liquefied is sending enough. They sent enough for everybody at homecoming to be able to have their own in their welcome bag. And then we will have a few that we're going to be a part of our giveaway table. So I have probably 6 boxes of liquefied in my garage right now.
Big boxes.
Big boxes. So I pull up, and these are all in front of my driveway. And I go, so, the neighbors have moved them. I go to put them in the garage, and each box is taped up with packing tape that says, "Think of us when you poop."
Brilliant branding.
Brilliant branding. But my neighbors noticed.
Your neighbors think you have a lot of bathroom supplies for some reason.
Saw 6 boxes, all with tape around them that said, "Think of us when you poop."
They must think we have
and they must have been like, how many Cologuards are in here?
These guys need to change up their diet over here. I don't know what's going on.
What do they know about their plumbing system in that we don't know about? So I couldn't bring myself, because I have my neighbor and I, we've exchanged phone numbers, and we have each other's texts because, if one of us goes out of town, or, they're getting ready to have a baby. And I was like, if you need anything, whatever. So I couldn't bring myself to text her and be like, "Look, I want to be very clear here. These are all RV products that we're going to give away. These are not staying at our house. Nor do you have to worry as your children get older that it will require any sort of extra." I was so embarrassed. And at the same time, I was laughing so hard because it is brilliant marketing.
Yeah.
But so now, we have these sitting in our garage, and I can only imagine, what must the FedEx guy have thought when he was dropping all of these off?
It goes to show you just can't, judge people from, Just don't judge a book by
I mean,
its
they
cover.
know what we do for our living. Our neighbors know what we do for a living. So I'm going to only hope that they assume that this has something to do with homecoming because they know that that's happening soon. But just all of that. I mean, Liquefied, my friends, Matt, Kim, Jen, all y'all. Brilliant marketing. At the same time, I just had like 6 of your boxes that just my neighbors now think I have to think of you all. I can't even finish it.
Well, speaking of Liquefied, so they had a big tent at the show, and I got to smell the. I know it's hilarious.
Going, Jason.
They have a Gen's edition.
Go Gen Go.
Yeah, the Go Gen Go edition of that supports breast cancer fighters, and it's the pink. It's a pink liquefied toilet treatment, and it smells like driftwood, and I really liked that scent. It's sort of just a special edition. They also have the Go Gen Go in the regular edition, but I thought it smelled really good. So if you're interested in ordering that
we
version,
didn't order the Go
we didn't
Gen
order
Go.
that. It's
we got
very
the
orange in our garage right now.
Our garage smells like orange,
which is
liquefied.
Nice. It's a nice scent too.
Great. It's a great scent. When I was asked if I wanted lavender or orange, I said orange. I think I'm on record with saying that I think lavender is one of the worst smells.
You don't like it. I've always wanted to go to like a Harvest Host lavender farm, and you just
pass.
Don't like lavender.
People are like, oh, you need lavender to sleep. And I'm like, that's the last thing I need to sleep is lavender. It's like, it's the same as, some people say that cilantro smells or tastes like soap to them. Mm. I think lavender, I don't even know how to describe it. I put it up there with like, velvet is the worst feeling texture on earth. And lavender is probably the worst smell on the planet. Like,
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, what's in your fresh tank this week?
So just a really quick fresh tank. I want to give a shout out to our friends at RV Life who just passed 3 million subscribers to RV Life. 3 million members. I mean, that is wild. Yeah. That is amazing. So congratulations to our friends over at RV Life for that accomplishment. That is just huge. I'm very happy for them.
That's it for this week's episode of the RV Miles podcast.
Yes, it is. Thank you so much for joining us. And hey, if you are enjoying the RV Miles podcast, why don't you think about coming over and joining us on YouTube if you're not subscribed there, or head over to Apple Podcasts, please, and leave us a 5-star review. Both of those actions help put us in front of a whole new listener of RVers. So thank you very much, everyone who's already subscribed or left that review. We super appreciate it. All right, until next week, friends, please stay safe, stay healthy, and keep logging those RV miles.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.